Hey guys, this is Brad Krantz. Welcome to my Monday Morning Leadership. Today I'm going to cover the topic why servant leadership is best, because I really do believe it is. And this originated from an article by Root Digital Systems back in October of last year. But I believe, most people that want to lead want to have an impact, right? But few leaders, I believe, would really say they want to be in servant, right? After all, servants really have the lowest jobs. They're not the most important ones. That's what we think, right? And I believe that's wrong. Here's why. Servant leadership might be the most direct path to a legacy of extraordinary leadership. But first off, before I get into the 6 reasons why, I want to talk, real quickly about what is servant leadership. We've heard it, it's kind of a buzzword out there, but I think servant leadership is really fairly clear cut, right? A servant leader takes responsibility for helping people to learn, helping them to grow, and helping them to have purpose, to motivate them, that they're energized and that they can contribute at their highest level. And I'll just say this takes energy and purpose to do it too. So it's not about you, it's about your people. And I really say that is the opposite of management. Okay. Servant leadership is really about inspiring people to do great work that seeks the very best that they have to offer. You try to bring out the best of people. I think that's what everybody would want, right? So your engagement is likely to involve asking questions. Good leaders ask good questions. How can you help your team? Yes. How can you help your organization do a better job rather than telling them how to do a better job? And that's a big distinction. You put the needs of your people above your own. So, servant leader, first and foremost, has to have a desire to serve others. That's where it starts. If you don't, you're not going to be a good or effective servant leader. And then servant, I'm not going to get all the characteristics here, but servant leadership is characterized by such traits as listening, empathy, and awareness, just to mention a few. So now I'm going to get into 6 reasons why servant leadership is best. Not all inclusive list, but I'm going to go with this one. Servant leaders really first encourage people to think for themselves and to try their own ideas. And this really gets into the topic of delegation. I've talked about this previously. Leaders have to be self-secure in order to delegate, right? I think one of the best ways for leaders to serve their team, to serve their employees, whatever the situation might be, is to create, space for them, what we might call it low risk space, so they can experiment with ideas. For example, a servant leader encourages people to use maybe time management, help accelerate development of something, and kind of maybe remove hassles of working with customers, those type of things in the business realm. And a servant leader really then celebrates when a team member tries to make improvements, right? And these efforts to delegate minimize risks. And guess what? They encourage people to access their knowledge and skills for other areas of their life. The key is to learn from the success or failure of each experiment. Guys, that's where success happens, right? Success, it doesn't happen from your successes, it happens from your failures. And that's too much. We're trying to avoid failure. We want everything to be perfect rather than what did you learn from it. But again, a leader has to be secure in themselves to want to delegate, because guess what? If you're insecure, you don't want to delegate because you're giving up control. So hence, this is where servant leadership, I think, really steps up at the plate and can deliver if you have the right person with the right attitudes and motives behind it. Secondly, when people feel value, they value what they do. And I want to call this empowerment. I've been empowered, and it's a huge thing. When people know that you care about them, they're going to trust you because they know you have their best interests of heart. And that, again, that's huge. And it bears saying again, or bears repeating, people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that, again, gets into empathy. But your investment in your people is returned when they become invested in the quality of work they do. Isn't that what you're trying to do? Maximize productivity. Third, servant leaders always higher up. And I want to say leaders create more leaders. The typical leader, unfortunately, falls into the trap of hiring people below their level because they may feel their leadership could be threatened by someone better. Again, I already talked about this, right? If your self-confidence is low and your belief in yourself, you want to hire people lower than you because you're threatened by someone who might be better, no more. But I've heard people say wisely, we want to hire people smarter to us than us and then let them go to work, right? But there's a big fear out there about doing that. So it takes someone who's self-secure to do it. So a servant leader really seeks to maximize their talent that they're bringing in to find better answers and maybe perhaps optimize the performance of their team. And I'm going to call them again, use the word maximizers. Leaders create other leaders. They are maximizers. Fourth, nothing builds trust faster than a servant attitude because it's not possible to judge as a servant. Okay, when you're not judging your people, guess what? They quickly realize that you want what's best for them rather than to secretly compare, rank, or judge their performance. That's what so often happens in school, right? The truth is, you'll never know how good someone is until they stop improving. When all your effort to assist in improving the performance of your people, you're going to find a strong bond of trust is built from having their best interests of heart. And on the flip side, really nothing really fosters distrust more than an uncaring, self-absorbed leader that views their people as nothing more than a tool to get something done. And unfortunately, that's all too prevalent out there in the business arena. People can tell when they're just being manipulated. Fifth, servant leaders really explain quote unquote why instead of scripting the how. And I believe this is big because servant leaders really are teachers, not micromanagers. They teach by carefully and comprehensively explaining the why behind changes, why behind maybe certain strategies or products or priorities that come up. And they really carefully avoid weighing in on the how. Okay, people don't like to be micromanaged. I don't, you probably don't either, but you have to be able to delegate. This gets back to the delegation. They really understand that the people closest to the work have the insights, the creativity, and the judgment that will help to best solve maybe the most critical problems and find opportunities. And people are most engaged, I believe, too, when they get a chance to solve the most pressing problems of the team or organization, right? You're bringing up other leaders. You're helping people take charge. Alternatively, an authoritarian leader often skips the why and guess what? Simply tells people what and scripts the how for them. Okay. Number 6. So the question of servant leaders is really, how can I help? One, you are a servant to all. The tell and sell approach to leadership is pretty much outdated. And more importantly, it's counterproductive too, right? Leaders in this situation, make it almost impossible to achieve the desired outcomes. I've seen this happen too much when they focus primarily on, guess what, control and the end goals or targets and not the people. And guys, I've seen this happen so much in the management out there. People just don't get this. And this is where servant leadership really can be critical because you're focused on your people. And that's really where things are going to happen. If your people are happy, they're motivated, they feel like they matter, their ideas matter, you're going to get more productivity out. When they don't, like I was in a situation like that, my last employer, I was just kind of like, how soon can I get out of here? Right. But the servant leader sets the direction of their team or organization. So again, servant leader. And the servant leader is going to ask, like, how can I help you? They're going to ask, how can I help you to achieve what we care about, what our goals are about? And the question highlights what's best in others, what's going to create a far better result, I believe, than if the leader, typical, and I'll call manager, dictates directions from their removed perspective. Servant leaders believe this approach reveals the untapped creative and performance capabilities of people, especially your people. I say it helps empower people, guys, and that's huge. That too is a key attribute of a good leader. Good leaders empower others. Okay, and I'm a firm believer of servant leadership, so I'm doing the message, and I work to practice this in my daily activities as well. And that's also one of the motivations for me doing my weekly Monday morning leadership here. So a couple questions here real quick to end. Have you had some success or overcome challenges that have made you a better servant leader? And also, why do you think servant leadership might be the best way to lead? I'd love to hear from you on this, guys. Thanks so much for joining me here today. Have an awesome Monday. Bye-bye.